Hey everybody, Mr. Cleveland here. We have a fun paper project today. It's three-dimensional instead of the normal drawing that we usually do. So it'll be a lot of fun. I want to show you different things you can do, different basic shapes you can use to create your cactus, and ways that you can switch it up, make it your own. You can use your own colors, whatever paper you have available. You can always color it beforehand if all you have is white, and then make your cactus out of that. So I hope you have fun following along and enjoy. All right, here we've got both type of cacti, and we're going to take a look at how to make these. They're three-dimensional, made out of paper, and they look really cool. They stand up, hopefully, if we can balance them right. And I'll show you how to make this one first with a couple extra pieces of cactus growing off. And then I'll show you how to make this one second. So follow along, and here is what you're going to need. A cup, a bowl, a green marker, a pencil, some tape or some glue, or both. That would be great. I only happen to have tape, but that's okay. And some scissors. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using colored paper for this. Now, if you don't have colored paper, that's okay. You can always use white paper and still just make the form, or you can color your paper with markers and then cut it out. Whatever works for you, totally fine. So we're going to start off, we're going to start off by tracing most of a circle using the cup onto our green paper. Now, if you want to make one exactly like the one I showed you at the beginning, you're going to want to use light green paper, but I'm making one that kind of contrasts with it, so it's going to be made out of dark green paper. Here we go. All right, so you notice that a little bit of the circle's going off of the edge there. That's totally fine. Now, if you want to make this cactus that I have here, I just took the pot off so it's easier to see, then you're going to want to stick with just two circles. But we're going to take it one step further, and we're going to add some pieces onto one cactus. So you can add one or two on either side, kind of like this. Or you could even do 3 or 4 or 5 pieces, as long as they get smaller as they go up. So I think I'm going to stick with this. So we've got one circle with all these extra circles, kind of like Mickey Mouse ears growing off, and then we've got just a plain circle. Next, what I would like to do is get our green marker, and I'm going to start adding stripes. Now you can add stripes to kind of like show ridges, or you could, let's see, let me just show you here. On this one, I used straight up and down stripes, or you could take this approach and add slanted, angled lines to make it look like little needles poking off. I think with this one, I'll do some curved lines that come up towards the center like this on each side. And let's do a third one all the way at the outside. And then we'll do that over here as well. And I think I'll add those lines on these parts of the cactus also. Here we go. Okay. And then we're going to add a couple lines onto here. And what I'd like to do to get it to stand out is just outline it in green before I cut it out. It just kind of adds a little bit of extra outline around the border of the thing once you have it all set up. Now once we cut it out, we're going to actually draw these lines on the back of it as well. But first, let's cut it all out. You notice because the cup went off the edge there, it's a little bit flat along the base, and that's a good thing. If it's not flat on yours, then you might want to cut a little flat edge on that circle just so that this cactus has a place to stand up. Now you notice as you cut, it's easiest to keep your scissors facing away from you and turn the paper around. There we go. All right. Next, what we're gonna want to do is think about where is the middle of this circle. So I'm gonna put a dot right where I think the middle is. As long as we're close, that's fine. Next, we are going to cut up from the bottom on one circle all the way to the middle, and then we'll cut from the top down to the middle on the other circle. There we go. So from the top here, from the bottom there, stopping around the middle. If you have to guess and you're not far enough, then it's not going to work. But if you're too far, that's okay. So we'll find out. Okay. So you can see this piece went in a little bit above this piece, which means I was a little too far, and that's fine. I can just scoot it back so that it sits right there, and we have a, you could call it flush edge that this cactus can use to stand on. You know what though? We need to back it up for a second before we tape all of this together, and we are going to create those ridges on the back side so that as you turn the cactus around, as we had in our example, you can see that on each edge it's planned out, and you can outline this as well. I'm just doing an example here, so we'll just knock these out real quick, but you could go around the edges and add a little extra green around the edge. It just helps it stand out. It's up to you. Here we go. All right. Now we're going to put it back together. So this top half gets the bottom half put onto it. We go until all the edges are flush. So you can push it back against your finger to line it up if you want to. And then we're going to take some tape and where did my tape go? It's so clear I couldn't even see it still on my finger. That's that part of my finger that got cut a long time ago. I have no feeling there. That's why I couldn't feel it either. Uh-oh, it got stuck on the side of the cactus. You know what? Just to speed things up, I'm going to leave the tape there. And we'll just get a new piece. Okay, so we put this tape right into this corner. And if you want to make sure that it all sticks together exactly how it's supposed to, you can put tape in all 4 corners. There's 2. And when you put the tape on, you want to make sure that it's making a cross so that it stays that way. If you put the tape on while it's sort of smushed together, it won't stick. You can wrap the tape over if there's extra. There we go. One last piece. You can see how it's starting to stay upwards, upright. All right, good. So there we go. The main body of the cactus is finished. You can also tape the top edges here. And if you wanted to, you can create a pot for the cactus. This is the pot I was using for this one. And the way that this fits in is by just sticking this in here. Let's just make a pot and then you can see how it's done. So we're going to go back to our bowl, stick it right on the paper and draw an arc like this, and then use the cup and draw an arc right in the middle of that. And then we're going to draw 2 lines, one this way and one this way, and you can add on an extra little line. That's going to be the area where you tape the thing together or glue the thing together. Now we're just going to cut all of this out so that we have space to work with it. You can even cut along until the bottom of these edges because that stuff is extra. Good. So we're going to end up with a sort of rainbow shape. Now you could do this in a color as well. You can see I used a red for our second cactus. I just thought that kind of looked nice. If you have color, if you have just white, you can use just white. All right. So there we go. There's the beginning of our pot. Now what we do is we get some tape and we kind of roll it up on itself like so. Now here's where you want to make sure to twist it if you don't have a straight edge. So you see if it's like this, there's a little bit of a V here, and we don't want that V because it won't stand up all the way. So we want to twist it until it's flat, and what that means most likely is that you'll have a little bit of the top come down. Better for the top to come down a little bit than for the whole thing to be crooked on the bottom and not stand up straight. So I'm just putting the tape on the inside to hide it. Although we did such a good job hiding that tape, it looks like it needs more tape along the outside. I'm gonna stick a piece of double-sided tape right here so that a lot of it is hidden. You can always use glue here if you have it. Glue is actually probably better and easier to use, but I just don't happen to have a glue stick on hand. I thought I did, and it went missing. All right, here we go. So at this point, you can stick the cactus right on the pot, but if you'd like to get it to seat in there, you can put it on top, check out where it meets the pot, and make a couple slits there with your scissors. All right, we've got 3 of the 4. And you can see how it just slides right in there. And we need 1 more. I'm just trying to get it to stick in long enough that I can see where it's going to cross. Okay, I think this is how I had it originally. It's going to cross right there, so we're going to snip it right there. Okay, so we can stick it into these slots in the pot to get it to stay in. That's one way of doing it. Okay, next. You'll notice that on this cactus here, I've got these spikes coming out the sides, and those are really just simple triangles that I cut out of green paper. So let me take this green paper back out. And show you that process. I'm not going to do the whole thing because, believe it or not, these little spikes, they go a long way to helping it look like a cactus, but they are one of the biggest steps. They just take a long time because there's a lot of little shapes. So this is optional, but you just cut out a strip of paper and then cut little triangles like this. And then, you know, this would probably go a lot faster if you have glue or a glue stick. Then you'll just want to take some glue or tape and stick it on like this. And then you just do a whole row of them around each side of the cactus, and you've got yourself some spikes or needles. All right, last part of this particular cactus before we move on to the next one is the flower. So we did the flower on this cactus differently than this cactus. I'm going to show you how to do this one first. What I did is just used a star shape. So we're going to start with an upside down V. Then we're going to go from one corner of the V up to about here, kind of halfway up this side of the V and to the left, right there. Next, we're going to go from this corner of the V up to here so that we can draw a straight line over to that point. And that's how you draw a star if you haven't learned that part, that already. There we go. I'm going to cut this out. Okay. Now, we just cut out each side of the star, create 2 stars, glue them together or tape them together, cut out a little yellow square, glue it into the middle, and then attach it to the cactus. So there's 1 star, and you can see here the cactus with 2 stars. I'm just going to show you how to glue it onto the cactus because I think you can figure out how to cut out a yellow square and stick it on there. So with the actual process of getting it onto the cactus, I just fold it in half a little bit and open it back up, take a piece of tape, and I stuck it onto this point on the cactus. So you could put a flower here. Alternatively, if you wanted to, you could put flowers up here as well. It's up to you how you want to do it. Let me show you how I did the other flower, just in case you like that one better. I did it in red on this cactus, but let's do one in pink here. So you just cut out a short strip about as long as a finger or a little bit shorter, and then cut halfway down in a row, just a row of cuts like this. The closer together your cuts are, the smaller the petals will be. All right, next we just roll this up. This has been an interesting background to the video, huh? You heard a birthday party and a VeggieTales. I wonder if that comes across on the microphone. Okay, here we go. So there's the flower, and we are going to get a piece of tape off, and this is just as simple as taping it to the side of the cactus. Okay. Now for the last phase of this whole thing, which will just be creating this cactus. This cactus is a little bit more involved in making the body, but it's a nice shape. So let's check out how to do it. All right, here we go. So we're gonna create a shape that is like an elongated U, and then we're going to come down just a little bit further on this side and go to the left on this side and create another upside down U and go to the right back to the center. Next, we're going to go to the right on this side, create another upside down U, come down further than where we made this line and go back to the center. Then continue from there, go all the way down. All right, so this one is kind of fun because we can add these needle shapes like this. Just cover that whole thing. Then you'll want to cut this out. So cut it out of the paper first, just to make it maneuverable. And then you will end up with one of these shapes. I'm going to take it apart for you. Oh, did I tape it? I taped it. That's okay. We'll take the tape off. I'm going to take it apart for you so you can see how to create a second one that looks exactly the same. So let's say you've got this shape cut out. What you want to do is grab your green from before, the leftovers, and trace it like this. Okay? And then just like the first cactus, once you've cut this shape out, you can take it and here we go. Okay. You can take both of them and cut one up from the bottom, just like you did on the first, and cut the other down from the top, trying to get to the middle, and then you just put the two halves together like this. All right. Now the only difference with the pot for this one is that I created the same kind of pot, but when I was done creating the pot, I just traced a circle around here and added a couple of shapes onto this circle. Okay, let me show you what this is for. So I'm going to add a tab here, and maybe a tab here. Now, as I cut this shape out, I'm going to leave these tabs on. So I cut around the tabs, leaving them onto the circle. There we go. All right. There we go. Next, I want you to draw an X on this. Put a piece of paper underneath just to protect the table. Open up your scissors and scratch along that X, holding the scissors up close to the paper. And you can score it, and it'll create a little slit, in the paper. You want to be careful not to slip. All right, so we've got a little X. Now, you know what? I drew this X a little bit off. It should be, as best as you can get it, a perfect plus sign, because the cactus is more or less a plus sign at the bottom, as you can see from above. And so the cactus slides into this X shape. Got to get one side in at a time. This tape is keeping it from cooperating, so I'm going to take that off. All right, next, get that paper stuck in there. And what this does is it helps give the cactus a place to stand up. It's not wanting to go in, but it was in there before, so we're getting it in there. Come on, cactus, let's go. There we go. All right, it's in. Now, these tabs that I showed you before, you can fold them down, and as you put it inside the pot, you can go in from the bottom of the pot and tape it in so that it stays. All right. So that's the cactus. It is anticlimactically falling over, but it's because I gave a great big sigh of relief. My cactus paper making time is complete. So, all right. Getting them to stand up will be the tricky thing, but once you get them to stand up, they'll stay up. You can put them on a shelf somewhere and have a cool little cactus scene and never have to water it. Of course, if you had a real cactus too, you probably wouldn't have to water it either.